Welcome.
Hello.
You made it.
I'm confused. I'm trying to accept it, but I just get a loading screen.
Yeah, it was weird. Well, here's the thing. Like, the second that you joined, I instantly closed it because I gave up and thought it wasn't working.
Oh,
there
no!
You go. Yeah. that's the situation there.
There's still some issues with this feature.
Yeah.
It's so cool. We should get it to work because then it tells people and stuff like that. It's
I like it. It's high tier.
On.
So Heal Scourge is done. Again. Thoughts?
Yeah, I can't believe they did that. Yeah. Like, after all these years, they didn't nerf it at all. And now suddenly, they went like, you know what? I'm amazed.
Yeah.
It actually blows my mind.
It's an interesting
What do you
change.
think about it? I'm a bit sad, actually. Like, I kind of get it, but I'm also sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like...
I think there's been a couple of changes like this. I think... I can't recall, like, specific examples, but I think the previous one was, like, the gyros on Scrapper, right? With the way that they worked before.
That got reverted, though, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It's kind of one of those changes where, like, some flavor is being sacrificed in the name of balance. Because, you know, we got to talk about the facts, right? Transfusion is game-breaking. That is true. That statement is accurate. But the other statement...
It is ridiculously strong.
The other statement that's also true is that it was also a really flavorful and fun ability to use. Like,
exactly. Yeah. That's exactly. It's like... Because, like was it really breaking the game? It was kind of in some situations, I guess. But sometimes it's fun to break the game, you know? Sometimes breaking the game isn't necessarily immediately a bad thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm conflicted.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted on that, honestly.
It's an interesting one, you know. I think I really like to hear the devs' thoughts on that change specifically, actually, because I do have a bit of a suspicion that part of it is actually out of a desire to make the build a little bit more well-rounded as a whole. Because right now, like, Heal Scourge is in a really weird spot when it comes to balance, because ArenaNet can't really, let's say, give it more boons, for example, or give it more healing. Because if they did, the transfusion effect would essentially make that ability, would make the build so powerful, it would outclass every single healer everywhere, essentially.
Yeah.
And
it would just be the best healer ever. And it's pretty darn good already.
Exactly. Like, you know, even though its boon application is, to be frank, very mediocre, right? There's a reason why you run it with Herald, is because you want to compensate that weakness, essentially. And now that it won't have that, it's definitely going to be a little bit like, okay, this is a build, I guess, that exists. But yeah, it is severely compromised now, and I think that I imagine their idea behind this is that they want to repackage a lot of its power in other areas as well, and now they've got like some scope to actually balance it. I do think there are some.
So, but like, but they haven't done that yet, right?
No,
that's not actually like. So now it's just kind of like, I feel like, honestly, I feel like it will still be a pretty solid healer even after this, but yeah, it's definitely... that was the reason you picked Heal Scourge, right? The reason you picked Heal Scourge was the transfer.
I mean, it's certainly not going to be unplayable. I actually think it will still be pretty good on Ceres, like, purely because it's very efficient. You package in the Scourge portal into the build really well. And, you know, it's a good thing to have a Mercy Relic on as well, so you can just, like, revive and you know, get people back up to full health there as well. It's like, you know, it's going to be okay in that situation. Like, its revive power is going to be decent, but the pull is so iconic, right? And I think there is room for the pull to exist. I think a great example of this is actually Druid, funnily enough, which actually does have Search and Rescue.
Yeah, Search and Rescue. Just have the cooldown on it, right?
Yeah. So I think
like
there's...
instead of being able to do it every 10 seconds.
Yeah, there's...
You have it available a little bit less than that.
Yeah. There'll be some... There's, like, some potential for it to exist. But in terms of, like, just overall, like, healing, I think it's going to really fall off compared to the other healers. Like, Chrono and Druid are so good right now.
Yeah.
And Druid also revives really well, too. You know, essentially...
Did you see what they're doing with Spectre? I really like what they're doing with Spectre, actually.
It is actually very high tier.
Maybe it will actually be good, finally. Maybe. I'm not entirely convinced, but it will be better. It'll be less terrible.
Yes.
I'm very excited about that.
It definitely like some good. I think there were a couple of like really good playability improvements, like to the thief ones in general. Like the weakening charge, whirling charge one's really cool. The Spectre one is really cool, and actually the catalyst one is so good. That's such a good change. That should just be baseline, okay? Like catalyst is just I don't know. I'm not a. I know you like Catalyst. I know you do. It's okay to be
I
wrong.
am a Catalyst endurer.
It's
I'm
absolutely
actually,
fine.
I'm very curious what's gonna happen now because like you'll basically have like the DPS trait and you'll have like the usability trait.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the what most non-quickness catas are gonna run. Like, are they gonna run the usability trait just like for the build to be 10 times easier to play? Who knows? We'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm excited though. They're buffing it a fair amount. Like just like I saw one buff and I was happy, and then there was another buff and I was even more happy.
They just kept going. They kept on coming. Yeah, it was actually big. It's a pretty high impact patch.
They put a whole bunch of mites on lots of quickness builds as well, right? Like on Kata, on Scrapper, on Berserker. That's actually quite nice in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm actually taking credit for that. I said they should do that, and then they did it. There we go.
Hell yeah.
I influenced the game. Guys, I influence the devs. The devs actually... Look, if you want to blame someone for the balance patch, guys, it's me, okay? They watch my stream and just implement exactly what I say. That's what they do.
I can't... It's so left... I'm honestly so surprised about the Scourge thing. Like, it's so left field almost, right? Like, it feels so random for it to happen now after all this time.
I think, honestly, like, Wing 8 actually might be relevant to it, to be honest.
Oh, you think so?
Maybe. Like, it was pretty relevant on Ceros. Not giga relevant on Ceros, but certainly pretty relevant, I would say. With the
I'm a little bit scared of Bone Skinner now. Bone Skinner's gonna be scary.
I'm scared of more content.
What do you actually, like, if you have to predict right now, do you think they're even gonna do it? Or do you think that they'll like, see the massive Reddit shitstorm and be like, hey, maybe we need to change it a little bit? Because again, they've listened to feedback pretty often when it comes to this stuff. But there's also times where they've sort of been like, well, we're still doing it, you know? I would be surprised if they tweak it a bit. I don't think they'll entirely revert it, but like... I'm not really sure how you do that, though.
If there's anything that changes, it's that change, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's relatively likely that they come up with a bit of a halfway house. Like, they could maybe split it in PvE versus world, because the interesting thing is that I think this is fundamentally a change that was kind of a little bit aimed at world versus world. Like, this ability is really strong in world versus world. That's where it's been like causing some serious issues. It's causing so many issues that people are seriously considering running transfusion on Reaper now in world versus world. Previously, because that effect is so strong to be able to revive people that way. It was causing some big issues there. So it's something that maybe could get split there, and there's maybe a couple of iterations they could do. Maybe it only ends up pulling one person, maybe it ends up pulling, like, only 3 people. Or I think what kind of cool would be, what if it, instead of teleporting people to you, it, like, slowly dragged them towards you? I don't know if they could implement that, but that would be kind of fun, right? If it, like, slowly pulled people in, right? If it did that, would be kind of fun, I think. And I think the other thing is, here as well, is that a big problem that Scourge has right now, and maybe it needs a bit of a redesign to actually address this issue, is that why can't you just increase the cooldown of transfusion in PvE? Well, here's the issue. Transfusion is also like the only healing that Scourge has as well. So you can't really just say, oh, okay, we'll just give it like a 60-second cooldown in PvE like it has in World versus World right now. Because if you do that, then, well, good news. You can't really heal anymore in PvE right now, very much. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a tricky one. Like, Scourge has some, like, pretty major design issues, I think, that would need to be addressed to kind of untangle the mess of how that build actually operates.
Yeah, and it feels like this is like, again, this could be, I guess, the first step in that, where like you kind of, you change the way transfusion works, and then you add in other things, and you sort of round it out. But this is just the first step, so it definitely feels a bit rough, I imagine, currently.
Yeah.
I'm also curious what you think about the whole Celestial thing in Wolfsfield. I'm not a Wolfsfield main, but that looks massive to me. They have split stats now between different game modes.
I think that technology is really exciting. I think it's really exciting technology, because it means they could. I didn't mention this actually in my incredible analysis, obviously, but they could even do the inverse, right? Like they could actually buff stats in PvE if they're underperforming. They could like even tweak them a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
And like split them between game modes potentially a little bit. They probably wouldn't going to go too crazy on that. They wouldn't going to go mega crazy, I think. But that is like an option they could go for. But is it a massive change? Yes. I honestly, it's over for me. Look, for the record, I think the change is good, but it has killed my favorite build to play. I got it back for a couple of months. The Shattered Aegis, Permeating Wrath, Epic Synergy, Guardian Staff, Spear build. I had it. I was full of joy and happiness. And I've only got it for another month, and then it's gone. It's absolutely eradicated. Yeah, this will massively change the meta. To be fair, for the better. The World vs. World meta is pretty unhealthy right now, I think, because of how powerful kind of hybrid support builds are that kind of both do applying boons, doing a bit of damage, clearing condies, and also being very tanky at the same time. Like, we're at the point where you kind of run like 3 to 4 supports per subgroup, which is weird, to be honest. It's not an ideal state of affairs, I think. But yeah, it will improve the meta a lot. And more importantly, it's going to really help out roaming. Like, World vs. World roaming is unbelievably cursed right now. It is infested with Celestial Harbingers.
Yeah. Okay. I played Celestial Harbinger, okay? Like, I'm actually a little bit sad that that's disappearing, but
It's
I
back.
get it, you know?
Back to Trailblazer.
It's gonna hurt for a bit, but I'll get over it. Yeah. I do think it will be so much better for the game mode long term, because like it's ridiculous how strong it is. Again, and I'm just like a Wolf v Wolves casual. This is just like my casual perspective, right?
Yes.
But I think it's gonna be a lot more interesting now that Celestial will be different again.
Yeah. And, you know, now that they have this technology, like, if stuff like Trailblazer doesn't end up being problematic, then that can be addressed too. Or even Minstrel, right? Like, if Minstrel gear is considered to be too overpowered. Because one of the really big issues in World vs. World, and to be frank, even the entire game, is the addition of the concentration stat. Because that is essentially what enabled the boon meta to exist as it does now, with, like, permanent boons everywhere. And this definitely affected World vs. World quite a lot. So potentially, if they wanted to, they could even look at tuning that to make sure that the boons aren't too out of control by looking at other stats there as well.
Interesting. I didn't even realize that. I thought that like the Celestial thing was like a big roaming thing, but I guess that's a big part of the boon ball in a way, then, isn't it?
It's a Selly fiesta right now in Zergs.
That is actually wild. Yes. Massive changes. I like how, like, at the start of the post, they went like, yo, we're doing kind of like a smaller balance today. Some small changes. And I guess that's kind of true, because for certain classes, like, barely anything changed, right? There's like classes where they have like 4 changes. But the changes that they did do, there were some big ones here for sure.
Oh yeah, it's pretty high impact. I think the only game mode that doesn't get super high impact, I think, is PvP. Of course, you know, maybe we're all misreading the situation, but yeah, PvP is, you know, Warrior still pretty good. Spear, very nice weapon. It's dominating the game. We've got the 2v2.
Is it still?
Oh yeah.
I know it's called Nerf on Tuesday. Yeah. Is it still that good?
Yeah, it's real good.
Oh.
I wouldn't be super surprised if there was a lot of double Spellbreaker in the 2v2 tournament tomorrow.
Interesting.
We'll see. And yeah, 46k DPS is the new normal in PvE too. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
Love to see it.
That's actually wild.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of surprised that I didn't do a lot of like spear balance today. But I guess I feel like a lot of this balance patch was already like sort of in development as the spears were still being finalized a bit. This doesn't really feel like a spear balance patch, you know? This feels like a general balance patch, and the spears are just like, we just did some hot fixes and there's some tiny tweaks, but that's kind of it. There wasn't a lot of spear stuff in here.
I think it is essentially a month before the patch actually lands. So I think it's entirely possible, if not likely even, that there will be some additional changes added to these.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's any builds that are like mega busted, they'll probably get addressed a little bit. And maybe some tweaks, like responses to feedback, all that kind of stuff, are going to be there as well. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I think the tuning on the spears isn't too bad though, actually, right? Because
I think the spears are in a pretty good spot in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think pretty much every spear, not every, like, again, my perspective is PvE, right? But it feels like every spear is pretty viable. I have a big issue with the Ellie spear being bugged. That is very awkward, I feel. I want to play like spear catalyst really badly, but the bug is causing me not to do that. I hope that they fix that pretty soon.
Yes.
But apart from that, I think, yeah, most spears are in a pretty good spots. Like, there's some ones that are like pretty solid side grades. They don't really replace a weapon necessarily, but then like in certain situations they're kind of better.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of preference.
That's an important philosophy to have, I feel like, because there's always going to be, oh, this one does the most damage. I think the real key is having each weapon carve out its identity as like something that it can do. Bit of a utility pick. Something that's like, oh yeah, this one does big damage, but you can take this one for more defensive utility. Kind of saw that with the offhand dagger on Warrior, like some really big sustain buffs to that one. This patch, oh, whoa, do you see the Reaper buff? The Reaper buff is insane, by the way. I don't know if you saw it. Okay. So they made...
It's like the healing while you're in Shroud
yeah.
right?
I think they are going to make it relatively weak. It might be like 3% damage conversion in PvE maybe, or 2.5%. I still think it's actually really good though, because it means you're going to be able to regain your HP while you're in Shroud pretty effectively whenever you're getting your damage off from Reaper. Really strong, I think. Yeah,
I haven't actually thought this through too much, but I guess like your health pool is just kind of existing in the background while you're... Interesting.
Yeah.
So you have some more health as you like exit the shrouds.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So I think very powerful in PvE, because you're going to be able to resustain yourself really well, both inside and outside of Shroud. And you're super tanky in Shroud now too, because you have the damage reduction, but you also have the third skill, giving you 50% damage reduction too. So that's going to allow you to resustain really well. And if you're in a cleave situation, oh yeah! Okay, we're going back to full health immediately, because you're just going to slam that Soul Spiral and some auto attacks, and you're going to be getting crazy resustain. I think Power Reaper is going to be an incredibly excellent build after the patch. Well, more so than it already is.
Let's go.
Yes.
Actually, I don't think we've really talked that much about the spears, have we?
No.
I really like the Necro Spear, actually.
The Necro Spear's fun. Feels really good.
Yeah, it's cool. I like how there's sort of this little combo that you can do with it, where you can like refresh your skill and then use it a second time and stuff. It's actually, I think they did a really good job with the Necro Spear, because it feels like a proper scythe grade. Like, it feels like, hey, this is like the weapon you can pick, and it's a little bit tricky to do the combo, and it's like a little bit risky. But it's got lifesteal, and it has like slightly more damage.
Yes.
But like a lot of the like build websites and stuff, I think they're still sticking to the old setup just because it's a lot easier. Even though it does slightly less damage. I like stuff like that where it's like, you know, you can pretty reasonably pick both depending on your personal preference.
Yeah, I think that's the goal as well, to have stuff like that, just to enable different playstyles and make them just not bad, right? Is the goal.
Exactly.
You know, yeah, it's a good philosophy to have, I think, with regards to that. But yeah, the spear is not really a crazy feature in this particular balance patch. It's very much like the other stuff. I think you're right. Like, this was a patch they were probably planning ahead of time, and they probably did a lot of the quote unquote balance patches to the spears almost like after the beta, right? That's what I think they turned out. The only one that was, I guess, the two that were really overperforming were Rev and Warrior. Like Rev in PvE, and then Warrior in PvP was like mega overtuned.
Feels so good as well. Like the Rev Spear, I thought they were gonna like, you know, hit it like super hard, but it's still doing like 47 or 48 or something. I think.
Okay. Cool. I think this is a slightly alarming, but I really do think that's the new normal. I think
so.
That 46k. Now, to be clear, look, I know that this might sound like insane copium. I think it is actually quite possible that we won't go beyond that, and I'll explain why. I'm pretty sure that they're taking an approach. What they're doing now is how they're handling Virtuoso and Herald. Notice how they're adding 25 might. They're not removing 25 might from Herald. They're giving it to Scrapper. They're giving it to Warrior. They're giving it to Catalyst.
Buff everybody else to the same level.
They're not taking away Virtuoso's 42k DPS. They're giving it to other classes. Ellie's 46k. Rev is still going to be 47k. That kind of stuff. I think that's the way they're actually going to be approaching balance, because I also think they don't want to rebalance encounters. That's another thing to bear in mind from a developer perspective. If they nerf Virtuoso, in some sense, they have to nerf Ceres, right? They have to nerf Ceres as well.
Actually gonna affect Ceres.
And then they've got to go through all that. They've got to do all the QA. And look, guys, this is ArenaNet. It's the 2-week rule, okay? Once it's 2 weeks, it's not getting changed anymore. So, like, look,
hey, there was a little fixes in 2 weeks.
I'm bringing dark streamer. Like, Lara's not going to tolerate dark streamers here, but actually, we're bringing it.
Oh my
and I've seen Dark Lara. I'm actually leaking that. I'm leaking that on Lara's channel.
Dark Lara is not real.
I've seen it. I have seen it. It's not a pretty sight.
Did you see that I have put a burning Troya in my homestead.
Yeah, I did see that. I retweeted the tweet, I think. Oh no, I think I retweeted Guild Wars 2's retweet of your tweet. So not directly, but indirectly.
Everybody knows about Dark Lara now.
Yeah.
The secret is out.
Oh yeah, yeah. You were wait. Look, what was the secret though? You were actually cyberbullying me over my fashion choices in World vs. World the other day. You sent me to Oyster Jail or something.
I did not send you to Oyster Jail.
You
That
did
is
do
not
that.
true.
You actually did do that though.
I don't no. I did say you had bad fashion though. I did say that. Honestly, your fashion was fine. It's just, you know, you were doing the whole thing with molds,
Here's the backtrack.
Like, yeah, backtrack, achieve. Yeah. Let's go. Oh my gosh. It was a interesting week though.
How are the necromains in your chat? How are the necromains?
They're pretty upset. I'm actually like, you know, the "this is fine" meme. I'm like the dog right now in the "this is fine" meme. Like my chat is on fire. The necromains are very upset, and I'm like, yeah, it will be okay. It'll be fine. It's fine. But I gotta admit that even I'm not entirely sure how fine it will be. We'll see.
We will see. Despair.
Nah.
Abandon all hope. If you have a Scourge, guys, delete your Scourge.
I just spent like 2 hours trying to convince them that it will be fine. And now you have ruined it in like 20 seconds. Abandon all hope. No, do not abandon all hope. It will be fine. Necro's dead. No! They're typing Necro's dead in my chat now. You have done this. You have caused this.
It is over. If you have a necromancer, uninstall the game. It is over.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're also having a therapy session, that's true. We were talking about our feelings. We weren't even just talking about necromancy anymore.
Yeah.
It was good. Like, you know, the sleep-deprived streams are sometimes the best streams.
Oh, I'm actually drained today. It's terrible. I've been playing too many MMOs. Yeah. I hate to say this. I'm not as young as I used to be. It is. I can't do it anymore, guys. It's too much.
How old are you again? Like 26 or something?
28. I can't do it anymore.
You are old.
Yeah. Whoa! Oh, it's Dark Lara again. Like.
That was sometimes the intrusive thoughts take over. Yeah. No, I'm turning 30 in like in like 3 months, which is wild to me.
Wow. I mean, yeah. Now that's 1 foot in the grave. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I know. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. My chat is saying, when is Teapot playing Final Fantasy 14?
Well, okay. Look, spoiler alert. That might actually happen. Okay, we've formed a covenant. We've got the covenant. I'm gonna teach Lara how to play WoW, and Lara will teach me how to play 14, and then Nico's gonna make fun of us from his World 11th Ivory Tower.
I'll be like, Teapot, it's time to do the story for 300 hours.
Look, I think, look, I'm doing this just for the content.
After that.
I'm going Final Fantasy. I'm going to skip the story. My stream title is going to be, I skipped the story, and it felt damn good. And I'm going to spend the entire stream just trolling anyone from the community comes in and is mad at me. That's my only goal.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know, I think the Covenant should not happen. I'm against this Covenant at this point.
And then we do the Omega Protocol.
So good, I actually like, so there's these ultimate raids, right? The Omega Protocol's like the hardest one. Like, I'm gonna start at the easy ultimate raids. The Omega Protocol, I'm not sure if I'm ever even gonna do that. That stuff is like...
Kind of like a 1,000 white. It's a 1,000 pull angle, you know? That's what it looks like.
Exactly. I'm not sure if I'll ever get there, to be quite honest. You know, maybe if we get some power creep in Final Fantasy. Maybe if they just add Hugh Scourge to Final Fantasy, I can do the Omega Protocol.
True. You know, I think the actually interesting conversation here is actually talking about like class identity.
Yeah.
So like, it's not. I think this is actually not even like a balance concern. This is like, and I think there's been a couple of this. This has been a bit of a trend in the game. I think is that we've been sacrificing a bit of class identity in favor of balance. I think a lot of the time, and that's an interesting conversation to have. It's like, how do you actually do that? Like, in a sense, I think there is something to be said here. Is that the only reason this is a problem is because they added something insanely broken to the game to begin with, right? Like, ultimately, Scourge is very, very fun, but Scourge is not very well designed, if we're being completely honest here. And it's kind of like, well, you know, could there be something else that Scourge could do, or Scourge could have its identity that would be equally as satisfying? But I think once the genie's out the bottle, it's really hard to replace it, I think, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I know that a lot of people like miss the old Chronomancer, for example. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
It's like literally kind of what's happening in 14 a little bit. Like 14 has been on this sort of crusade the past couple of expansions, where they're basically like, you know, sort of putting all these jobs into the same molds, right? Every job has to be able to do sort of the same things as the other ones, and it means the game is really balanced, which is good. But there's a lot of people are not happy about the class identity stuff.
Yeah.
It's every class feeling a little bit like all the other classes.
You know, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a tricky one because like, so I have not played WoW Retail ever, but I think WoW Retail is like the opposite, right? I think the RP is almost like holy in WoW Retail.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Retail WoW, actually, and I'd need to really marshal my thoughts to actually think why this is, and how they actually do this, like, and kind of have the analysis on why do they do this so well and how do they do this so well. But yeah, class identity in WoW Retail right now is very strong. Like, for example, I played a bunch of the different tanks. They all are very different, right? They play out in fundamentally different ways. And they all have really powerful things that they can do. This is true with a lot of classes. They all have like a really powerful kind of a hype moment, right? I think Preach actually spoke about this. I can't remember what he called it. Someone in chat is going to remind me what he referred to this as. But yeah, like every class in WoW kind of has its moment of glory, right? It's time to shine. Like, oh yeah, that's the thing that it can do really well. Like, this is this really powerful ability. And you know, the interesting thing is that they actually let you get away with a lot. Like, for example, you can absolutely use an invulnerability to skip a mechanic in WoW. They typically have like pretty long cooldowns on it, like minute cooldowns rather than seconds, of course. But you can do some kind of crazy stuff, like really powerful effects, but they balance it with cooldowns and by just kind of designing encounters around them as well, you know what I mean? So this is a bit of like an encounter design thing getting blended in there as well with like how the game actually plays out. But yeah. It's a complex issue, but I do think that actually, you know, all memes aside, I do think Retail World of Warcraft actually handles this issue really well, because the game does maintain a semblance of balance, but it also does have like a very heavy RP focus. It doesn't always work out, to be clear. There are some classes that are kind of in RP jail, you know, but yeah, it works out pretty okay most of the time.
Yeah, I think the awkward thing here is, I think I think Goats 2 can do a pretty good job as having class identity while having balance at the same time. You know, just the way that a certain healer functions, or the way that you do damage, and like just playstyle, right? But in a way, almost like a big part of the Scourge class fantasy is this like pretty broken thing, right? Transfusion, the way it exists, is like, I don't think you can argue that it's not broken. It is pretty broken. It's like entirely unique. It's one of the best abilities in the game, certainly. But then it feels really bad when that disappears, because then you're just like, that was what made Scourge, you know? But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they can come up with something, but it's gonna be difficult, I feel. A difficult issue to solve.
2 bonus memes. 1, I am a paid WoW shill, by the way, Cobalt player. That actually is true. Yeah,
what?
That is true. Okay, enjoy that. Enjoy that. But secondly, I have to share this post. There's someone on the forums who is saying that we need to increase DPS of individual players to 150k. There you go. That's all. Just wanted to share that.
A little bit on the high side, maybe.
Yeah.
But you know, if we keep going like this, we'll get there. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, you know, just a couple of expansions down the line, and we'll make it. You know, we'll get there.
It's actually kind of odd to me. I feel like every expansion kind of sets its new standards, right? Like when the expansion hits, that's really when most of the power creep occurs, I think. It's not even damage in the patch. I feel like it's mostly like at expansion launch.
I do really want to focus in on the fact that I think this is their attempt to solve the Herald and Virtuoso problem.
Right,
so
bring everybody else
I'm
up
not
to the same
saying
level.
this will guaranteed happen, but they have the potential to kind of lock it in place now and keep the high numbers at the 47k, 46, 47k range, and have like the builds that are kind of more utility focused, more defensive, like ranged and so on, more down towards like the 40k area. They have the ability to do that, I think.
I think it's almost like... I think part of the reason that the spears, for the most part, were pretty well received is that they're good. Right? The fact that, like, you get them, they hit hard, it feels satisfying to use. Like, well, I'm doing big damage, right? It's almost, like, difficult, because, like, when you introduce any new weapon, you want it to, like, feel like an improvement, right? And again, it's difficult to find that sort of niche where, like, it's a valid size grade. That's very difficult to do, I think. I think they actually did succeed with some of the spears.
Oh yeah,
but I think that's almost just like part of the power creep, right? The fact that like, hey, we gotta have something that feels really good at launch.
Yeah.
And I think that is really important. Like, I think if all the spears would have launched and have been like very
Trash.
underpowered, that would have been received very badly, and everybody would be sad. Like, you want them to feel good at launch. You want them to feel good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very tricky. I'm glad I'm not like, a designer who has to solve this, because it's not an easy one for
well,
sure.
I mean, the thing is that look, what's going to happen? I mean, look, this is going to happen to you. This is literally going to be you when you release your game. There's going to be like an OP weapon, Timberwind, and you know what? I'm going to be there, like on the Steam page, just saying, wow, this is absolutely broken. Like, delete this weapon from the game immediately. And then you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to go. Oh.
And then I delete it, and then you make an alt account, and then you go, "That was my favorite weapon. How dare you?"
How dare you? How could you do that? Yeah, that is gonna happen. I'm gonna give it like negative review. Yeah, there we go. Boom. I don't know how the review system works.
Oh no.
Low rating. It's gonna be a mixed.
Oh no. Ruins.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of curious. I haven't actually asked you this too much, but what do you think about push? What are your thoughts on push?
I think it will actually have a lot of potential to solve the problem they're trying to solve. I do think that they need to change the map, because I actually was very surprised by this, but people get very confused. I think that's partially a UI issue, but also the map is very wide and open. I think it should probably funnel people to the objective a little bit more than it does right now.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by this. I was like, there's one objective, but there's still... and it happens to me too. Sometimes I'll get distracted. Yeah. And like, I will still not play the objective, even though there's only one objective.
Exactly. Yeah, like what, the Conquest, 3 nodes are too many, right? But it turns out that 1 node is too many as well. People get lost and don't really know what to do. And I do think, to be fair, part of that is UI, right? Like, there's no UI telling you what to do. There's no like introduction to the game mode or anything like that. And obviously, people are new. People don't understand it, right? Like all that kind of stuff. So that's like part of it, but I also do think that the map design can be greatly enhanced with like how.
Yeah,
how
I don't think this map was even really designed for it, right? I think they literally just didn't they say on the stream that they just had this map and then they just kind of went like, oh, we can do this. Yeah, we can put this game mode on there.
I also think they should play around with the respawns. I think they should change it to a wave respawn timer. So basically, like, there's a set timer that respawns everyone, rather than individual respawns. Because one thing I noticed is that people run in and feed, right? They just go like, I've got to go get this thing. Yeah, they trickle in, and then you just get infinitely staggered, and you can like never really recover. So I think kind of the game forcing you to not do that would actually be pretty good, as well. I think it will actually do a good job though. Like it's almost like, I view it as like the PvP gym, right? You're like working out the entire game, right? Like you're just constantly pressing buttons. It's like absolute 10 minutes of pure fighting. I think that's actually it will serve its purpose. I will admit I do prefer Conquest because I like the strategic element of Conquest. I think that adds a lot of depth to the game and it makes it, there's a bit more depth to it. There's not a huge amount of depth to push, I think. Right now in its current form, it's just send it down mid as hard as possible and bunker down with like 2 supports and just destroy the team fight. Which is, that's something, I guess. It's a bit of an arena-based PvP, but I think some of these issues can be resolved, like better UI, better telegraphing, and again, that is exactly its purpose. Its purpose is to get people comfortable with the combat system, right?
Yeah.
And I think that it will do that pretty successfully. And at the end of the day, I had fun playing it. Like, I think it's a really fun, casual game mode for PvP, which is kind of what Guild Wars 2 needs right now, to be honest.
It feels like, have you ever played League of Legends, actually?
Yes.
I don't even know if you played that. It's like ARAM, right? It's like the sort of the casual game mode. You go in, you just like get some action, and actually something I like is that when it snowballs, it's over really quickly. So like,
yeah, you don't like bleed out. You die a slow death in Conquest, right? But that
yeah, that doesn't happen here. You just lose immediately sometimes, which don't get stuck. But yeah, I feel like it's helping me a lot. Like I'm having my PvP arc, but I think team fighting is like my weakest point, basically. Not to say my strategy is amazing, but like the big team fight, I'm not very good at it. Like I run into AoEs and stuff. I think it's really good for just getting a lot of those hours in quickly, right? You just like I played like I had like a 6-hour session or something the other day, and it was just you're just fighting the whole time. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's really good.
I think it's really good for that. I really like it a lot in terms of like what it's going for. Like I do think that one thing is that it does actually need a lot of players to live. In a weird way, I actually feel like it's more susceptible to skill mismatches than Conquest, actually. I think if the enemy team is like, you know, a little bit better than yours, you will actually kind of get dominated a lot of the time. Because if you can't win those fights and the enemy team is like just barely winning them every time, you're just going to get completely crushed. I think it's also very
you can't really out-strategize.
Yeah,
I think in Conquest you can kind of out-strategize, even if like your combat skills a little bit lower, you can still like outplay a team. But that seems a little harder for sure.
It is. So I do think it needs a population. If the population is high, that's not an issue. Yeah, obviously. Because then people are, you know, you've got evenly skilled matches, then it's no problem, right? We're all good, and we're having a good time. However, if it doesn't like attract a lot of players and the amount of players playing it is low, like similar to Conquest now, I actually think it will be a brutal game mode, actually, in terms of how stompy and one-sided matches will end up getting. A little bit like 3v3. This is an issue in 3v3, right? Like you'll often see, say, high-powered players, high-powered duo queue players, just straight up going 100-0. If you look at the guys, you know, 55 in Team USA, for example, they will like happily go like 100-0 in a 3v3 season, maybe losing a couple of games to basically like other people who are also on the same team as them, right? Throughout the entire tournament. Because the thing is that in a weird way, it's pure mechanical skill, basically. So if you're just the better team, you are going to dominate every single time.
Yeah.
Whereas in Conquest, you have that additional, as you were saying, right, that additional outplay potential where you can win by doing that. Oh, we're losing the team fight. Well, let's play sides, right? We don't have any good 1v1ers, right? So we need to kind of play two nodes and try and bunker down a little bit more. Like you have that potential to adapt into a suboptimal composition or a suboptimal strategy or even skill mismatches, right? You have that ability to adapt. Whereas in push and arena style games, you do not.
I'm so curious what they'll like eventually sort of like, how they'll like make you queue into it. Like, are they gonna have like entirely separate queues for both? Or are they gonna have like unranked as push or ranked as conquest? Or are they gonna have like it's just gonna be in there for like the temporary like mini seasons or something? I'm really curious to see like how they'll, because again, PvP's population is pretty small, so like you don't really want to split it too much. If you just add like 2 more queues, like unranked push and ranked push, I think that would actually probably not work out.
This is where things get really spicy, I think, because there's been some concerns about this. I think Wooden Potatoes raised this concern, and I think he's correct. Going, lukewarm on this is potentially not the play. I think fully committing to it is very risky, saying, oh yeah, we're going to replace Conquest. There's a reason why they're not doing that. That is insanely risky. Like, if that goes wrong, the player base will completely crumble and just fold, and it's over, right? If people don't like it, right? If it doesn't work out, then PvP is, like, actually dead, and it's beyond recovery, which would be not ideal. But I do think they need to be very decisive and really think about what they want to do with this game mode. If this game mode takes off and people love it, and people are blasting it, and they're not moving on to Conquest, that was kind of like their philosophy. They want it to be like an introduction to PvP. I think slapping it and like replacing unranked with this game mode could be a pretty interesting approach, maybe, to test that out. Because bear in mind, you actually have to play like 100 games of unranked before you can get to ranked, right? You have to get to ranked 20. It's kind of a lot. So throw people in there as almost like a bit of a tutorial almost. But, I am a bit of a Conquest fan. I really like it competitively. However, I do think that if push takes off and people love it and everyone's having a good time and it's, people are playing it a lot more than Conquest, people are they're staying in push, not moving to ranked potentially, then I do not think it would be a bad idea to potentially think about replacing Conquest. Because, look, let's be honest here. The days of Guild Wars 2 being an esports game are over. And Conquest is fundamentally designed to be an esports PvP game mode. Like, from the ground up, right? We know this. We know that ArenaNet wanted to do esports, yeah? They wanted to do this. But this ain't 2012 anymore, yeah? Realistically, those days are over. The goal is going to be make a healthy PvP mode that is actually alive. And if switching to push does that, then to be frank, it's probably the better decision for the game. Now, there's a lot of ifs there. There's a lot of questions along the line. Like, again, maybe it doesn't take off. Maybe, maybe people actually do end up moving into Conquest and it actually helps revitalize Conquest. But what's happening right now is like a slow death spiral of Conquest. That's got to change one way or the other. And if this doesn't save it, if this doesn't save Conquest, then to be frank, I do think it is time to actually consider going to other options. And that's simply the better choice for the health of the game. At the end of the day, I think it's better to have a less interesting competitive game mode that's mega alive than a dead one that's super sick and awesome design, right? Because one's going to be more fun. Like, the aliveness of the game at the end of the day is going to carry that, right? PvP right now is not in a good spot. It just isn't, right? And something's got to change.
I think it's so interesting, like, hearing you say that, because at the same time, you're like a Conquest fan, right? Like, Conquest is your preferred game mode. Yeah.
It feels really weird for me to say that because, full disclosure, if that happened, I admit this, I would probably lose interest in Guild Wars 2 PvP. Especially from the competitive angle, like running tournaments and so on, it would interest me a lot less. Right, and again, I'm not here to, like, cry me a river about that, right? World's smallest violin. I'm just saying that that's kind of like where I'm coming from. But I can absolutely acknowledge that the health of the game, like, first and foremost, is a big priority, and it should be a big priority. And ultimately, PvP is, to be frank, not a particularly good experience right now, especially for new players. And I'm definitely in favor of changing that, even if it does make the game mode less interesting to me, because at the end of the day, make the game mode healthy so more people can have fun is probably a good thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't have quite as much of a, I guess, like, eloquent, deep opinion on this. You've definitely thought about this a lot more than I have.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, that I think, yeah. No, but I mean, you're like a PvP player, right? Like, I have queued in total like a couple hundred matches. Not even, like, I've played 200 matches in the past 12 years. I am not a PvP player.
And that's going to change.
But I will say, like,
now that Dark Lara is here, the PvP can begin.
I am the target audience for this, right? I am like the Guild Wars 2 player that hasn't really gotten into PvP very much. And I will say, I think push is really fun. Like, something that I like about it a lot is how fast the matches are. It doesn't feel as much as if I'm dedicating myself to a big match. Like, I just kind of get in there. Sometimes the matches can take pretty long, but I guess it's also because it's beta, but it feels like very, like, you just keep going, right? You just keep playing one more match. That is big time kind of getting me, where I just want to play more and more and more and play another one and play another one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that there are changes that, for example, like the healing debuff thingy isn't in the game right now, so that's probably causing matches to stall out a little bit more than they otherwise would. Because there's some bugs with that.
Like if you stand on like
on the nodes,
the point. Oh wow.
Yeah, so I think that. Well, I'm not sure if that got hotfixed into the game yet. I think. Yeah, but it basically, when I was playing, and probably when you were playing as well, it wasn't in the game right now. I think they're going to be adding that pretty soon. Oh, it's in the game now, apparently. So maybe it will be a little bit different. But there, there are some changes they can do to prevent like the matches stalling out. Because, yeah, when it goes all the way to 10 minutes, it's it's a bit of an ordeal, right? It is a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's like 10 minutes of constant fighting. But I think, yeah, in general, the game being a little bit shorter than a Conquest match is definitely a good thing.
For sure. And again, the game modes will probably also feel a little bit better once they get all the, the UI and stuff. I had so many times where I was like, I'm not sure if the cart is going in our direction or in their direction. Also because the map is like so symmetrical, right? So sometimes I just get lost a little bit, I suppose.
Oh yeah, and that's because it's dummy assets, right? They've got the gray boxes in there. Like,
I think it's so cool that they're doing that though. Oh, yeah. I think it's actually such a smart approach. Like actually test whether people like it.
Yeah.
I feel like in general people do seem to like it so far. But again, like most people I talk to are also like PvE players trying out PvP a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about like the PvP mains are thinking about it that much just yet.
I mean, Syndra and Boyce like it. They're having a good time. And I'm going to be organizing a bit of a show match between French Worms and 55 this weekend so we can see. So I think people are having fun at least, right? Look, I actually think the pro players are actually more open to this than I think most people might expect. For example, a very long time, we actually ended up not doing this, but the Frenchies, they wanted me to do like a Stronghold tournament. They were like, hell yeah, we're loving Stronghold right now. And they wanted that. Like, yeah, I think people are open to it. To be honest, because
they've been playing like the same stuff for such a long time, haven't they? Like the same couple maps, the same game modes. Like, I reckon a lot of PvP players are just happy to have any like change of scenery.
Oh, for sure. I know it's exciting because PvP was essentially a game mode that's been abandoned, right? Like PvE is being pretty well maintained now. World versus World has got restructuring, and we're seeing progress in that regard. PvP is the only game mode that is still really hasn't got a lot of love outside of some basic reward updates for 5 years or whatever, right? So it's certainly big. And I completely agree with you about the testing thing. Actually, there's a reason why the WoW does a PTR, for example, right? And so they can kind of respond to feedback. There's actually a funny thing about this. Basically, their version of Fractals in the game, Mythic Plus, they introduced a bunch of new instabilities essentially, which were just absolutely disgustingly putrid, pretty much, and kind of made the game mode very unfun, and therefore they fixed it before the expansion went live. So that worked out pretty well with the PTR there on this kind of testing stuff. So yeah, I think this approach is a really sensible approach from ArenaNet here. It's pretty cool.
Hell yeah. Exciting times, for sure.
Yes, we do.
There's certainly a lot of things happening. It's actually wild. I wasn't really expecting there to be a lot of things going on right now. It's like, we just had expansion launch like 3 weeks ago. But there's a lot to talk about currently.
Yeah. I think that ArenaNet are doing this pretty well, actually. With the event system, like we've got the Fractal Rush right now.
Yeah.
Next week it's like Path of Fire Rush, I believe. Then it's Living World Season 4 after that. I think you're doing a good job actually kind of maintaining things with like some stuff to do. I felt a little bit quiet like after the initial expansion launch because I just grinded through all the content immediately, and now the hearts aren't even. What's going on? The heart rewards suck. What the hell, ArenaNet? Fix the game. So that's going on there as well.
I think that's such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, because the heart system is such a cool system, but like, yeah, it just doesn't feel like it's really worth doing. They gotta do something about that. They gotta add something in for sure.
Yes. The hearts.
You know what I think they should have done?
What's they done?
I think they should have put the vote armor recipes behind these vendors.
Yeah, you could maybe you can get like a token and you can do the hearts a certain number of days and you can get the skins or something. That would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because that would do something without potentially affecting the economy, right? Because you can just get the skin and then it's like locked to your account, so you're kind of consuming resources, not like generating infinite gold or something. That could be interesting.
Exactly.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people who want those vote armor skins. I guess they're kind of trying to use it to encourage people to get into World vs. World and PvP though.
Yeah, because having said that, it is kind of cool to have some World vs. World exclusive rewards. I think that's fun. In the same way that it's good to have exclusive rewards in PvE as well, by the way. One of the things that I do really like about MMOs in general is that when I see someone's character I can almost see the story of that character by what they've got. You know, that's something I really like about, especially stuff that can't be bought. It's why I love stuff like Aurora and Chuka and Chompawat, because when I see a player who's got that, I know, they've been on the journey. They've done the Druid Stone, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think that's actually a really fun thing about cosmetic rewards, and it kind of rewards for specific content because it allows you to see the journey of other people that they've gone through in the world, which I think is really fun, really cool.
Gotta say though, oh my gosh, the vote armor is so grindy. Like, how many reward checks do you have to do?
18 total or something like that. You know,
and
it's a lot.
They added like the vendor option.
It's pretty
now,
pricey though, isn't it?
Expensive.
Yeah, it's like
a lot
40
of
gold
memories
a
of
piece,
battle,
isn't it?
right? Yeah. I guess it's nice for the votes for world players though, because you know there's a lot of PvE players who are now buying those memories off of them effectively, right? So they're making bank right now.
Yep.
And you know, I'm after like years of pretty terrible rewards, I'm pretty okay with the Vault for Vault mains having some nice rewards for a bit. Yeah, that's okay.
I think it, you know,
still,
yeah.
Just having like an exclusive like armor set or something, buying those hearts would be such a smart thing to do, I think.
Yes. We got a title. What more do you want?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Not as cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, we definitely got some content going on. There is like Omega content.
When are you making your homestead, Teapot?
Look, I am not going to do that. I'm going to let you lot handle that.
Oh my gosh.
Look, I mean, look,
you're missing out.
I think me and Sneb are going to be doing a competition. You can do that and maybe get community hero or something. Congratulations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be epic.
I better
Lara's going to
step up
help
my
judging,
game.
by the way, guys. There you go. Enjoy. Because I want to gatekeep Lara from ever getting community hero. That's the only reason I'm doing that.
Wow. My homestead looks amazing. Okay. Do you have community hero?
No, because I run the tournaments. No. I don't play in them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you're the one that's organizing this stuff, it's
yeah, I deserve it.
To obtain.
They should just give it to me. They should just give it to me. I am a community hero. That's right.
Let's go.
Oh yeah, we are doing an open world map tier list, but that's probably going to be next week. Games.
We are doing that.
Stay tuned.
I need to make the template. Yeah. It's easy though.
Yeah.
But like I have like a content plan right now. Actually, I'm kind of curious how you do this because you put out so many freaking videos. Do you like have a plan for like the videos you're gonna upload next week? Because you upload like 3 videos each week or something.
Look.
Or does it just kind of happen?
Let me just put it like this. Okay, when I see how you do content and how you make stuff, I feel incredibly embarrassed because I'm nothing like that. I just YOLO. I just meme. We just do the content, and it is what it is.
You get like...
That's what I do.
I looked at the stats. You get like 3 times more YouTube views than I do every single day.
Wow.
Like...
I've got that going for me, I guess. But no, I am nowhere near. You're way more organized than me. I should be better. You know, this is I'm not. This is not a flex. This is an anti-flex.
You did this whole soda review, which was like 40 minutes.
I did like that one. That was a good video. I want to do that. I need to do that for Janthea Wilds and the War Within as well. Very nice content. Yeah.
I have a content plan though. Like I just put out a video today, and then next week is gonna be the tier list. And there's also going to be a homestead highlights video. I don't actually know.
That's big.
The plan is already falling apart. I don't know which one's going to happen next week.
I have no idea what's going on.
Maybe we'll delay the tier list upload until the week off. So
I'm just mentally drained at this point, right? Like, I just need to... I need to catch my breath a little bit and figure out what I'm doing with my kind of plans.
I do too.
Yeah, 100%.
I will say, I think that Twitch drops are like really good for like the game and like the community and
mental oblivion for streamers. That's what it is.
Oh my god, like all the streamers I think it's not even just us. I think all the like dedicated Gods 2 streamers, everybody's a bit exhausted.
Yeah.
Still.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's still recovering from the drops.
You know, back on the player housing thing though, what I am doing right now actually is making a guild hall with my World versus World guild. And the thing is, I am engaged in that. And I would... The reason why I'm engaged in that and not the homestead Because, and this ultimately is the type of player that I am, the guild hall has a function. It's like, ooh, I need to do this so we can get the guild buff in World vs. World. I need to do this so we can claim this, so we can do guild missions.
You don't have to decorate it, though. You just have to upgrade it.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, what I really like about it is that it has, like, functionality attached to it. It also means we can do stuff like guild events in the guild arena. It has, like, a function attached to it.
Right.
Because, like, I actually do think that the homestead system is really powerful. That's why I'm really happy they added it to the guild hall, right? Because I want to do stuff like, okay, we're going to have like an arena and we throw players in and there's like hazards in it and they have to survive, right? Or we do like a free-for-all battle and like last man standing wins, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that...
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've actually experimented with that stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, we once did a battle royale in our guild hall, which was actually like kind of a blast.
Hell yeah.
Like, Souths and survival, not really Souths and survival, but like everybody was like spreading out, and there were like some things that had to be fixed. Like it turned out that camping was really good. All the players who were like excited to fight each other just got eliminated immediately. And like I need like a way to like force players to get close together. You know, like I was thinking like maybe you could have like a Blish Hut overlay that like has like a shrinking circle or something. I'm not something like that, but
my solution to this was going to be maybe a little more brute force. What I was gonna do for stuff like this is that I would just have like a bunch of like an army of guild officers like in a ring around the edge of the arena, and like as that goes on, they move in and just start killing people. Okay, like.
Wow.
You have like a bunch of kill shot warriors or like gunflame warriors, and they just slowly move in. And if they get too close to you, they just one shot you.
It's so cool though. The guilds all like because they enabled PvP there, right? You can like set it to all these PvP modes. Like it enables so many things. Like we tried like sky skill dogfights, and we were doing like ship battles and turtle battles and stuff. Like there's so much stuff you can do with it.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Love player-generated content. Like where I learned programming was Roblox, right? And Lego Mindstorms, which you could write code for Lego Mindstorms in kind of like a custom version of C, funnily enough, actually, right? Back in the day, like I love this stuff. It's epic. I love Little Big Planet, Roblox, okay? All the Lego computing stuff is absolutely amazing.
You gotta look at some viewer homesteads because like some people have made so many incredible things with the homesteads already.
Yeah.
Like I have I really like jumping puzzles, and Jennifer also had a couple of them, which I enjoyed. But like, I just have an infinite supply of jumping puzzles now that like viewers have made, and then I just go in there and I just like do them and stuff, and like some of them are pretty nice and easy, but like there are some really difficult ones it's so cool just having that sort of infinitely generated player content. I think there's so much potential of the system.
Yeah. I want to go further. I want them to do stuff. I want them to almost add like very basic scripting functionality. I think would be insane for guild halls and homesteads. So you could like set NPCs on patrol paths or something. You could have like a bot. You could like make a guild arena that's got a guild lord, right? Kind of make like a custom GVG kind of setup in there. I think there's some stuff that could be really exciting. I don't have to massively rework the system though. You'd have to be almost able to like publicly browse all of the available things, so you could actually share that content with people easily, which you kind of can't do right now.
Shame. That is actually such a shame currently. Also, like you can only have 5 people
going with parties, not squads. No. Oh no. I think that decision might haunt them. I do not like that change whatsoever, or that direction they went there. That does not feel good. That you can't have like all the gang, all the crew in the homestead at the same time.
Yeah, like I saw somebody who made this like amazing looking like tavern on like the subreddit, and then I realized that only 5 people can ever be in there, which I think is so sad. Like I could just imagine a whole guild having like, you know, they go do guild missions. I guess that's kind of what guild halls are for in a way, right?
Yeah.
In a way,
they don't want to overlap, right?
Guild halls are kind of the more exciting system right now because you can just have more people in there.
I just honestly love the guild hall stuff. I'm planning on doing. I really hope I can pull this off. I don't want to say that I am going to do this because it might not happen. It's not confirmed, but I want to do like a full immersion beetle racing tournament because nobody in the game has Community Drift Master. It's in the game's code, right? It exists, but nobody has it. 0 people, because there's never been a tournament for beetles that had the title as a prize. So it's actually the only community title that has never been given out. And I want to go all out for it.
Immersion.
Yeah, well, I want to... Well, you know, like racing games, right? How all the tracks... I basically want to create an experience with an overlay and obviously the actual design of the guild halls themselves. I want to trick all of you that you're even watching Guild Wars 2. I want people to tune into the stream and believe that it's actually an in-game implementation of a racing game, pretty much.
Whoa.
Yeah. I want to go really hard on this and make it super immersive so that, you know, you're fully transported into the world of the beetle race.
That sounds very cool, actually.
Yeah. Not sure I'm going to pull that off yet.
My chat is excited
but,
too.
You know, I'm working on it.
Whenever that happens, all my viewers are gonna watch your stream instead of mine. They're convinced now.
Oh, and you can come and commentate. Okay, how's your how's your color commentary? How fast can you talk?
I've never tried this actually. What was this actually like? The first time you ever commentated at tournaments, was it like were you like nervous? Were you like, can I do this? Like just like shoutcast kind of? I feel that's a skill that you learn.
Oh yeah,
like
when
I watch you and Snap like commentate like the raid tournaments and stuff, I'm like, these two have done this a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I was completely bloody rubbish. If you go back to ERP1, it was awful. I was umming and ahhing and stumbling and this and that. You know, yeah, I mean, it was terrible, to be honest. But I did it at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and it was fun, and it was good, and my internet barely worked. I think back then I had... the highest quality I could stream was 2K bitrate, no joke. That was the best I could do. Because of how poor my connection was back in the day. It was not very good.
For everybody who doesn't know these numbers, that's like a third of what you usually have on a Twitch stream.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, you know, it was rubbish. But yeah, as with everything, it's a skill that you practice. Now I think I'm pretty decent. I'm not too shabby.
Hell yeah.
At this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a skill that's refined, and you kind of develop your style, right? And you know, you build chemistry with people, right? Like I really like you know, commentating with people because I know them really well. And you know, I've got that chemistry, so we work well together as a team. Like, you know, me and Roy, I think you know, are really good. I actually really enjoy casting with Helseth as well. Actually, really good stuff there too. Well, I mean, like, I don't want to single people out actually, except Sneb. Sneb's rubbish.
Wow. I think we're seeing dark teapots come out a little bit there. It's happening. Alright, anyway, good talk. I promised my viewers I was gonna do homesteading. Oh. And then I was going to, and then you called, so we still haven't done homesteading.
Yeah. Like, my only... Look, just cards on the table here. My only goal is to... sabotage Lara's sleep schedule to the point where she's not able to stream, and therefore I am able to absorb all of the viewers from the Guild Wars 2 category. There it is.
I feel like this plan only works if you like fix your own sleep schedule at the same time.
Well, it's just I think it's just a race to the bottom at this point, right? Like, you know,
yeah.
that's
I feel like right now the plan is like what's it called? Like,
it's mutually assured destruction, right? I think that's just kind of what's going on. Yeah,
there's gonna be somebody else soaking up all the viewers soon instead. Good talk though. This was good.
It was good. It was a good stuff there. A little bit of free content for everyone. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome, Twitch chat. You've been entertained. Mini Tea Time LARATIME version 2. It's back. Maybe it will return again. Well, actually. All of you, tier list, all maps in the entire game, insane content next week. Wow.
I thought you were gonna like talk about the referral link, and I was like ready to exit the call. No. I was like,
no, you guys should use Lara's referral link. And remember, tier 1 sub guys, Partner Plus, let's go.
True. Actually true.
All right then. I'll see you later.
Next time.
Yeah. This is very funny. Okay, like, you know, if I have to leave, otherwise Lara will never leave. She's too polite. That's actually a fact, by the way, guys. That's how it works.
I'm gonna leave now to prove you wrong.
Yep.
Bye bye.
Oh, she actually did. There we go. Well done.